One of the things you might be seeing in the news lately is the talk about the government shutdown. And while there might be an end in sight, the question is, how does that affect you? And we're going to have our Lady of the Law here to talk about that. The Lady of the Law, Andrea Kast from Ladies of the Law. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you once again. So we were talking a little bit about it, but the thing of it is more than 80% of the government is really up and running in this government shutdown. And you're saying a lot of programs when it comes to our homes and trying to refinance and whatnot, or if you're getting behind on your mortgage payments, are still available to a lot of people.
Right.
So to know that they can come to you guys and still get help if they need. So let's kind of start there.
Okay. Well, there is some good news in the real estate market, and that housing sales are on the upswing finally. You know, Jacksonville was one of the hardest hit cities in Florida. Excuse me. And, you know, mortgage foreclosures were just rampant. And now that we're starting to see where people are actually coming into our office and they do have some equity in their homes now. So they do have some options where they can actually sell or they can, you know, get out from underneath these terrible, you know, loans that they had originally. They can refinance now again. So those are some options. But if they're behind on their loans and there really is no chance of selling and their neighborhood isn't one where they've gained equity back, they do have some of the same government program-based options available to them that they did have before this whole government shutdown.
Yeah.
And we can help them with that.
Yeah, so kind of explain how that works, because as you've seen, a lot of people have come into your office, you know, in this tough economic conditions that we're facing. They're losing their jobs.
Right.
They're not able to make their mortgage payments like they once were, and they need kind of a break. So talk about what programs are out there that could help people kind of take a step back.
Right. Well, the government has a program called the Home Affordable Unemployment Program, which actually can lower or even suspend your mortgage payment for a year while you're unemployed and looking for a job, which a lot of people don't know about that or take advantage of that, and we could actually help them with the paperwork to get into that program if they have been out of a job. And I mean, one of the goals is you have to be actively looking for a job, and it is only for a year, but it can help someone tremendously to keep their home while they're looking. The other thing is the Home Affordable Mortgage Program is still in effect, where you can have your mortgage payment lowered to 31% of your gross income plus taxes and insurance for your home, which could be at least a 40% reduction in your current mortgage payment, to help people make those mortgage payments that were, you know, out of control for anyone who's lost a job or had a sick child, or, you know, just had a loss of income, you know, the lower income. So that's also available, and we can help people with those options and help them get the paperwork filled out for that. And then, of course, there's the Bankruptcy Mortgage Modification Program, where if they qualify for a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, the bankruptcy courts actually take over and say, okay, look, lender, you're going to have to fast track this bankruptcy modification program. And instead of dragging this out for these homeowners, you know, when you're trying to get a modification, it can be a year.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't cross the I, or cross the T, dot the I, you didn't fill out this form, you didn't send it back, you know, we lost this paper. And these homeowners are just frustrated. So the bankruptcy courts say, no, within 6 months, the paperwork has to be done, and you have to be at a mediation at a table with the homeowner, and you have to get some kind of result. Doesn't mean you're going to get the modification, doesn't guarantee success, but it does get you much further than any of the other programs if you try to do it on your own.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you would walk people through the whole process. How do you qualify? And then filling out the forms, which I'm sure is a bureaucratic nightmare when you're making sure that you're crossing the T. And so if someone's watching, should they start? If they're finding that they're in this situation and they're trying very hard to meet their obligations, but they can't because of the circumstances, how should they come in and meet with you guys? Yeah, and you can look over their statements for free, right?
Right. We offer a free consultation. We're happy to meet with anyone and give them advice, see which program they qualify for. You may qualify for more than one, and we will definitely do the paperwork and, you know, do the paperwork for both and try to get you see which one, you know, is accepted. You know, there's also the hardest hits programs in Florida for those who are most hardest hit by the foreclosure crisis. The biggest thing to worry about is to make sure that you do all this before your home goes into foreclosure, because the Florida courts, especially here in Duval County, have fast-tracked the foreclosure process to where once your home goes into foreclosure, you almost always have to file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy to stop the foreclosure process and stop the sale of your home if you want to keep your home. So you want to get the ball rolling to save your home well before you get a foreclosure case filed with the court. If not, your only option really at that point is a bankruptcy and the bankruptcy modification process. So you want to make sure you see an attorney the minute you start missing those payments. What these lenders used to do, they can't really do it now, but they used to tell people, oh, you've got to be behind to get into the mortgage modification program. Well, then they get behind and all this would happen and they wouldn't qualify for the modification. And then they would say, well, now you're behind, we're not taking your payment. And every time they make a payment, they send it back. So it was a catch-22. We're finding that if you get behind in the payments, the mortgage companies are still sending the payments back. And so these people don't have any way to pay. And so the companies aren't working with them. So we're here to help with that too. So we can, in a bankruptcy, they have to take your payment. They can't send it back.
Yeah, so the bottom line is it can be a very complicated and convoluted process.
Right.
And so if you find yourself in the situation where you might be going down this road, it's to stop in now before it's too late. And you guys have offices in Jacksonville and St. Augustine.
We do.
Yeah.
We do, yes.
Very convenient.
We do.
All right, well, thanks so much for being here. Is there anything else that you think people need to be aware of if they are finding themselves in a tough situation?
It really is in your best interest to not do it alone, to get help, even if it is just a consultation to see where you need to go and what forms or qualifications you need to file, or what you might qualify for. Seek some professional help and get someone who knows the process to walk you through it.
Yeah, it's funny. So you had said before, one of your partners has said, it's not like you go and do an oil change yourself, or go fix your car engine. You go to an expert.
Yeah, you wouldn't do your own fillings.
That's right.
I hope.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate you as always. Our Lady of the Law, Andrea, for her advice, and thanks to Emery, Kast, and Walker for sponsoring this segment. And remember, they say the biggest mistake that you can make when you're facing any sort of financial hardship is to do nothing. The legal team of Emery, Kast, and Walker, they say they understand what you're going through and are here to help good people in bad times. Their website, www.jackslawyer.com. Call them 904-404-3394 for a free consultation to find solutions to your problems. And again, they have offices in Jacksonville and in St. Augustine.